guys, this is Tuna So Much Fry here. I am bringing you another army book review for the Warriors of the Dark Gods. This is for version 1.2, which should be or is planned to be released on the 25th of October. If everything goes to plan, this video actually should be out on Saturday or Sunday, depending on my schedule. Basically, I'm going to go through, just like I did in the last one, and read through pretty much the entire book and all the changes. If you don't already know, I'm also part of the Army Support Committee, or Army Community Support for Warriors of the Dark Gods. And my co-conspirator in that is Drakar de Chaos, and he has been doing an amazing job putting together a bunch of feedback reports as well as a nifty little spreadsheet with a comparison to 1.1 to 1.2 changes, and even has it like set up to where it's like color coded to where nerfs and buffs are shown. And just to give you kind of a warm and fuzzy, the spreadsheet itself is more buffs than it is nerfs. Not by much, but it is more buffs than nerfs. So, without further ado, I will get into the Army Special Rules, and then from there I will continue down the book. So, enjoy. Alright, so with regards to marks, that page pretty much didn't change. The only changes that as you can see here, are they removed any mark requisites for paths for magic, because as you know, the magic lore's all changed, and then they added some small stuff for mark of true chaos, mark of lust, basically to make it so that it was more definitive in how many models you needed, where rather than just saying the majority. I guess people were confused that majority meant more than 50%. So those are the only changes on that page. Then we go to the chosen of the gods, basically is the chosen marks. This has to do again with pretty much just rewording. There's not really anything changed here. And before you look to the bottom of the page, don't freak out. I will get to that. But the Chosen of Change has basically the same spells it had before, which is the D6, Strength D6, Fireball, and then Breath Weapon. And then they also have, let's see, all models in a unit with one or more models with Chosen of Change must reroll all magic dice with result in 1 and 2 when casting non-bound spells from the Thaumaturgy. So that's pretty cool. So we get, with our chosen marked guys like our once chosen conclave, our chosen conclave, and our wizards, we get to reroll 1s for magic dice. Lust, it no longer gets skirmish, but they changed the rule for skirmish to be more non-combat oriented. So everything that we had that was skirmish, like Fallen and Lust Chosen, just have light troops, so they still can, do all the good maneuvers. It's just, since they're combat focused, they stay squished together in a regular formation. Let's see. Now, still have Gaze of the Gods, still the same, still stupid. All I can say is this is still a working game. Take that at face value. They're rewriting the fluff, or they've rewritten the fluff rather, so they're redoing the army book, so there may or may not be a reason to have Gaze of the Gods, I don't know, but I'm one of those people that hopes they don't have Gaze of the Gods, or they make it better and actually useful. like something where it either A uses or works on champions, because it would make it a little less of a pain in the ass for us and more of a reason for the enemy to actually give us a character to fight our characters. And I mean, from what I've seen, most characters like Bretonnian Lords and freaking, what are they called? The High Elf Lords are pretty damn killy compared to ours. So don't know why they can't just change that now. But anyways, and then the big one. Hold on, let me take a drink before I do this. They have removed Inspire Greatness. So please don't burn down the forums, because I still have to deal with that after this comes out. Um, the one thing that I guess is kind of a bonus, maybe, is that we lost 10 points, or we dropped 10 points base cost for the Lord of Chaos, but the Harbinger went up 10 points. So, but it has 3 wounds now. So I guess that's something to be happy about. But we lost our one good army-wide special rule, unfortunately. Feel free to voice your opinion on this, obviously, but just remember this is still the working game. We're still working on everything. This is just here as a placeholder, and you guys are here to play games with it and find out either A, how shitty the army has become because of losing Inspire Greatness and all these other changes that are coming, or how good they're going to become. So just don't freak the fuck out and just start playing some games. Use data as our, you know, ability to push, hey, this is a stupid decision, fix it type thing. Still got demon weapons, gifts of the gods, some small changes here. They got rid of Beast Breaker because of the organization of it kind of changed. See, Path of the Fallen. The only change is the points cost there, but the points cost actually went down, because before it was about 45 points. Now it's essentially 30 points. I know it says 60 there, but everything was pushed up double points. So games are now run at 4,500 points, and everything, magic items, gifts, are all doubled, and that includes the amount we can take. So lords are at 200 points. Excuse me. Heroes or harbingers are at, or hero characters, I guess. They're not technically called heroes anymore, but heroes are at 100 points. So Path of Fallen got a slight buff by points of about 15 points. Wildling Blood, same thing. Inspire presence to war beasts, monsters, infantry, and beasts or monsters. And then it removed the core trolls, unfortunately. But it is now shamanism. Shamanism? Yeah, shamanism is the path that it must choose. Necrotic miasma, that one is another 5-point reduction for the same thing, which, I mean, cool. I don't think I ever took it, but whatever. Waste hardened skin, same point value. Let's see. Soul Reaver is now 15 points more, still wrath only, and it can't be taken by ridden monsters, so no chaos dragons. Let's see. Do magic items, and then we'll get into the organization. The only change, there's only, looks like 2 changes. One's a wording thing, and the other 2 are actual, like, functionality, which are buffs in my opinion. First is the demonic idol, which whenever an enemy model rolls on the miscast table, it's no longer one use only, so that's fucking awesome. You may force the model to re-roll the D3 for the miscast roll. Personally, I think it should go back to the working on both friendly and enemies, but I'll take that as well. Let's see. Then the nine-tailed standard finally unfucked itself and allowed it to be just infantry models, and doesn't matter whether they're light troops or skirmish or whatever. So it works on Fallen and Lust Chosen as well, which is good. The Banner of Fury, that one, the only thing they changed was the wording. It ceases to work or whatever. So now I will get into the army organization. Okay, so everybody remembers the army strengths, weaknesses, and playstyles polls that they put out. That was basically the community, you guys, voting on what you thought the Warriors of the Dark Gods army should be in their strengths, their weaknesses, and what playstyles they should have available to them. So this is something that they're literally using to base the army book creation on. So the whole complaining about armies not be, or this game not being a community driven game, you can just look at the polls and just shut the fuck up. So they're actually doing what the community requested and gathering their input in actual polls and then applying them to the army books. And you'll see this by our organization chart. First, we have characters, 40% characters. One of the play styles we had was the single model based stuff, which is it's Monster Mash, but you can also kind of drop it into Hero Hammer, having good heroes essentially. So we have most armies I think have like 35% characters, whereas we have 40%. Core we only need 15%, which when I first saw that I was like, oh, that's awesome. But after going through the book, it's a little less awesome considering it kind of forces you into a specific playstyle, in my opinion. Because I'll get to that. I won't go too far into that right now. But our top 4 playstyles we have is infantry based, monstrous infantry, cav, and beast based, single model based monster mash, and cavalry based. So we have infantry. Everyone knows what that is. Monstrous infantry, cavalry, beast based. So monstrous infantry, monstrous cav, and beasts. So basically like once chosen, crushers, trolls, that kind of thing. Then the single model based I already said was Monster Mash / Hero Hammer type thing, and then a cavalry based one. So our next one is the special, which has no limit. And when you look at the special section, it's pretty fucking cool because there's a lot of stuff in there, and it is a lot of things you can use. Then the last one is beasts, which is at 35%. So that's your monster mash portion. So you'll see all the big baddies like EDC, Chimera, Vortex, Fiend, Blood Beast, Giant, all in there. Core, I'll get to that as I scroll down. But next I'll go over our characters and all their good gribbly shit. Alright, so first character, as always, is the Demon Prince. Pretty much same of everything. Changes they have are change is the only one that actually costs anything. Let's see. He can become a wizard apprentice for 80, wizard master for 150, and if he's upgraded to a wizard, he may add up to 3 learned spells. Let's see, and then he can if upgraded to a wizard, he generates spells from alchemy, shamanism, or thaumaturgy, and knows 1 spell from from a chosen path. So, just like the way they did it with wizards is you can actually make a wizard apprentice who knows 4 spells, which is actually, it's expensive as fucking balls, I think, but it's still pretty fucking cool that you can have a +1 to your casting value as a wizard apprentice, but still have 4 spells, or a wizard master with +2 and have like 1 spell or something. So to me, I think that's kind of a cool little addition in there. The Demon Prince, he still kind of gets fucked. I mean, he still only has 50 points of magic items. He gets 2 gifts. Whoop de fucking do. He still has to pay for plate armor, and he's basically a cannon magnet. Nothing really new on his marks, I don't think. So he actually counts towards both characters and the beasts as for percentage wise. Which, if you're like me and suck at math, it's a pain in the ass, and you actually have like I think I've been told that, or they said that both Battle Scribe and Army Builder have already figured out how to work this system, and it's doable. So I'm hoping that they've already started working on all these files. I know the guy that does it seems like he's a fucking madman because he does the stuff so quickly. So hopefully we'll have everything ready by the 25th. Let's see. Next we have obviously the Lord of Chaos, and what they've been doing, and you'll notice this throughout most of the army books that we go through, that you're going to see as the content team pushes them out, is the merging of a lot of unit entries, and then allowing it to be like you have a 1 unit entry like this where it's Lord of Chaos, and then you have the separate profiles, and then an upgrade with the points value for each upgrade, essentially. So Lord of Chaos and Harbinger are in 1 section. The stats are all the same, except the Harbinger now has 3 wounds instead of just 2, which is always good, obviously. Let's see. Points value wise, like I said earlier, the base cost of the Lord has gone down, essentially gone down 10 points. The Harbinger has gone up 10 points, but his points per wound is better because he's now at 3 wounds instead of just 2. Point wise, for his like all the upgrades for their marks, pretty much the same. Let's see. The mounts have all changed in regards to point values. Castede has gone up for both. The Chariot has gone up for both, looks like. The Manicore has actually gone down for both, but it also uses a rare slot, and the Manicore itself has lost the Lethal Strike, I believe. I'll get to that when we go to the mount section. Let's see. The Dragon, and for some reason the fucking disc uses rare points as well, or beast points. I mean, it's a fucking disc. It doesn't give you anything other than fly. And to be honest, you get the fucking if you get hit with a goddamn cannon or a artillery weapon, you get the fucking bonus for being shot out of the sky or whatever they're calling it. So you get +1 wound off of that. So to me, that's fucking retarded. It's a huge fucking nerf. Nobody took the disc anyways as it was, so why? Just why? The Palanquin goes up a hefty amount for both, but it does now have 4 wounds. It doesn't really, it does matter, I guess, for both of them because Chaos Lord now goes from 3 to 4 with the Palanquin, whatever the fuck however you say that, and then the Crusher stays the same for the Lord and gets a giant fucking point increase for the Harbinger. And from the other changes, I'm gonna just say this now. It seems like the RT does not like the Crushers, but we'll get to that. Don't worry. Let's see. Next is the Sorcerer, and this, as I said before, a Sorcerer is one model, one stat line, and it starts out as a Wizard Apprentice. Point value wise, it's a huge point increase from a level 1 sorcerer to 250 points. But I mean, he's got a Sorcerer Lord stat line, which I mean is essentially a Chaos Warrior, but he has 3 wounds, and he is a level 1 or a Wizard Apprentice with 1 known spell from either Alchemy, Shamanism, or Occultism. And I'll actually go over the spells for that here as well, just because you've already seen them on the other videos. The mark wise, let's see, it looks like the mark of change actually went down in points by like 10, which is good because the mark of change is fucking awesome, because you get both the +1 to cast and the divine magic, flaming, and hellfire attacks for him. Let's see. Go over the mounts real quick. Regular Steed stayed the same. Demon Steed went down, or went up in points rather. Sorry. Cherry went up in points. Manicore went down in points, but it also again uses rare. Same with the disc, but the disc went down in points. The dragon went down, just barely. The Lust Steed is up in points, and the Falcon is up in points, but it gives you 4 wounds. So let's go over real quick the paths of magic that we can take. So we have, let's start in alphabetical order with Alchemy, which is the one I feel is probably one of my favorite ones. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go do a quick little rundown of the actual magic stuff. So learned spells is essentially your 1 through 6 spells. Basically how you do when you generate the spells with the d6, that's hasn't changed. The learned spells, or learned spell is essentially your default spell that you can always take. Some paths have attributes and some have trait spells. Attribute spell is the same that we know. The trait spells are slightly different. It's not automatically cast, I don't believe, but it's essentially an attribute spell. Or, sorry, not attribute spell. It's essentially an extra spell that you get. Let's see. So, drop to Alchemy real quick. So, Alchemy has a attribute spell. So, this one is auto cast if you cast anything from Alchemy. So, you have 18-inch range Hex. Lasts 1 turn, and the target gains Flammable. And if the way I see it is you plop a Change Wizard like a wizard master, and you get +3 to cast. Then you push out any of the spells, and you give whatever unit you're fighting, or whatever unit is getting fought, flammable. And then guess what the Mark of Change does for you? You can then use flaming attacks, which means you can reroll wounds against said unit, which is fucking awesome. It's a very good, something that we lacked a lot of for Warriors of the Dark Gods in 1.1 was synergy, and the ability to have like the Infernal Dwarves had so much synergy with their fucking magic, it was insane. It's like, hey, you get you get flammable, you get flammable, and you get flammable. Everybody gets flammable. And then guess what? We all have flaming attacks, so go fuck yourself. You're dead. Next spell, the Quicksilver Lash. 8+ to cast. A little bit, it's about average, I guess, with 2 dice. A little over average, actually. But still, it's 24-inch hex missile and damage, an instant spell, and the target suffers D3 +1 hits with metal shifting. So it's good against fucking high armored stuff. Next we have Word of Iron. Base spell is cast on a 6-up with 24 inches. Boosted is 9-up to 48 inches, and it's an augment. Now lasts 1 turn, and the target gains +1 armor to its armor save. Which before, I think the one was like it was a permanent one, but it was capped at 3-up, which is decent for our warriors. But I mean, because we'd keep our 3-up in combat if we had like halberds or great weapons. But now you can plop that bitch on your chaos warriors who have like sword and board, and they get a fucking 2-up armor save for a turn, which is awesome. And if they have the flaming banner, you plop the target gains flammable on whoever they're fighting, and guess what? You get to reroll wounds. So whatever, even if they're tough 4, tough 5, or whatever, you get to reroll your 4s or 5s to wound, and boom, start just melting stuff. Second spell, or number 2 spell, is Molten Copper. It is a 7 to cast or a 10 to cast. So both are 24 inches. The hex missile damage, instant duration or whatever, and then the target suffers either 2d6 with a 7-up or boosted is 3d6. Strength through hits with AP 3 and flaming attacks. So now I don't know how this would work. Is if you cast Molten Copper, do you then have the alchemical fire go off as well at the same time, and then do the hits, which would then give you the ability to reroll said wounds? I don't know. If you know, pop it down in the comments and let me know. I'm assuming no, because I haven't actually read over like how that works with the attribute spell or whatever, but I'm sure I will look over it again and verify. If I remember, I'll put it in like the comments or in the description or something, or maybe even a note in the video. The number 3 spell is Corruption of Tin. It's 8+ to cast at 24 inches and 11 boosted at 48 inches. It's a hex. It's permanent, and that's the -1 armor saves, which is awesome, especially against stuff like Warriors of the Dark Gods or Empire or like any of the dwarves essentially. Then we have number 4 spell is Silver Spike. It's a regular 8-up to cast at 18 inches. Boosted is 11-up at 36 inches. It is a hex missile damage spell, and it's one of those ones that's good for big targets. Its target suffers a strength 6 hit with no armor saves, multi-wound 3, and penetrating. So it can be, it seems like it'd be a decent ogre killer if you can roll decently on the D3, but the penetrating is nice. And just in case you don't know, let me pull up the penetrating rule real quick. Where are you? Oh, bear with me. Let's see. Penetrating is one of the new rules that they came out with. Let's see. So when a weapon with this special hits, check in which arc of the target the shooter is in. The weapon causes a number of hits equal to the number of ranks of its target if the shooter is in the front or the rear arc, or a number of equal hits to the number of files of its target if the shooter is in its flank or is in either flank. In either case, the number of hits cannot exceed 5. Some penetrating attacks have higher strength and or additional special rules stated in square brackets, such as strength 3, brackets 6, and multi-wounds D3. So a single hit from this attack uses the strength value and special rules in brackets. The bracket values and special rules are not applied to any of the hits. So this seems like a very good, I'm going to shoot the shit out of your Ogre Kings, or Ogre Khans unit spell. His penetrating gives you not just the D3 wounds, but you also get the, if you have a Death Star that has 3 ranks, you get 3 hits, or 3 wounds to go through, and the ability to do 9 wounds off of that, and take out 3 ogres. I'm cool with that one. Number 5 spell is Transmutation of Lead. It's a 9 up at 24 inches and a 12 up at 48 inches. It's a hex and it lasts 1 turn. The target's attacks cannot receive strength bonuses from its close combat weapons. Mundane shooting weapons wielded by the target unit suffer -1 strength. Note that this spell only affects a model's equipment and its strength, not any special rules. This one's kind of cool because then you can, it's basically a -1 to strength from their close combat weapons. So if you have something with halberds or great weapons, you can kind of lessen their ability to wound you, which is nice. Although I don't know if it's worth a 9 up spell or 9 up casting cost. The Glory of Gold is the number 6 spell. This one is a 10 plus to cast at 18 inches, and it's an augment that lasts 1 turn. This one gives you magical attacks, flaming attacks, and AP +1. So if you already have armor piercing, this one actually gives you an additional AP. So for spears, it'd be a +2 to armor piercing, which is pretty fucking cool. Now, we'll jump back to the sorcerer. Let's see. Oh wait, sorry. We are going to continue down to the shamanism or occultism path. Oh, there you are. All right, so the occultism does not have a trait spell or a attribute spell. This one has a special ability essentially called the sacrifice. So when casting a non-bound spell from this path, after rolling magic dice but before the opponent rolls any dispel attempt, the active player may choose to inflict X hits on the caster's unit or another friendly unengaged unit within 24 inches. Each unit may only be targeted by this ability once per magic phase. X is equal to the number of ranks in the targeted unit, down to a minimum of 2 and up to a maximum of 5. These hits wound automatically, and no save of any kind is allowed against them. The last model in the unit can never be removed as a casualty using this ability. Any wound that would reduce its wound pool to 0 is discarded. If at least 1 wound was caused, the spell is cast with the amplified version marked in the brackets. So, essentially you can have a caster doing like the sacrificial dagger type stuff from one of the old Dread Elves items, which is kind of cool. One thing I'm curious about, and I'm sure they may fix this, but what's to stop me from just buying a bunch of fucking barbarians or dogs or something and just siphoning their, like, one rank of them, they take 2 wounds. Fuck the dogs, I don't care, they're 100 points. Or taking a big unit of barbarians and just having them in 2 ranks of like 30 or something like that, and then just siphoning their wounds off. I mean, it would kind of be a waste of points, I guess. So that kind of evens it out, maybe. I don't know, but you can kind of mitigate the whole 5 wounds or how many wounds you want to take by how many ranks you give the unit that you're stealing from. But again, that's kind of moot, I guess, because points wise, you are wasting points if you don't use them. So first, the 0 spell is called Pentagram of Pain. It's a 8+ to cast and a 12-inch aura. It's a universal, so it'll hit both friendly and enemy units. So the target suffers D6 strength 4 hits. The caster's unit is unaffected. Now, if you used the sacrifice ability, then if one or more wounds or one or more successful wounds are caused by that spell, then the caster regains 1 wound. So honestly, I think this is one of those things where you would have like a caster who's out on his own on a big monster like a Manticore or Dragon. Excuse me. And just have him, if he loses some wounds, pop off a spell and kill off some barbarians or some dogs or something and get yourself a wound back. Let's see. Number 1 spell, Hand of Glory. It's a 6-up. Its range is the caster. Last 1 turn, and the target gains a ward save, 5-up. Affected models with already existing ward saves have them increased by 1 to a maximum of 3. So you could actually give a large target, it looks like. Is the caster is the target, I'm assuming that includes his model. A 5-up ward save, I could be wrong. But either way, your single target gets a 5-up ward save, which is okay for a 6+ to cast. The number 2 spell is Breath of Corruption. 6-up to cast. It's on the caster in the last 1 turn, and you get a breath weapon with toxic attacks. Nothing really special there, but if you get into, like I said, if you throw in a freaking Chaos Dragon and you want to pour out some breath weapons, that gives you some extra ones. The number 3 spell, Forbidden Knowledge, it's a 7+ to cast on caster, and it remains in play, which is nice. The target may reroll casting rolls when casting non-bound spells from this path. That one's kind of cool. If you can get it off, I mean, you essentially can reroll, and the enemy has to waste some dispel dice to get rid of it. It's not bad. The 4 spell is the Rot Within. It's a 9 to cast on 24 inches hex. It's a permanent, and the target suffers -1 weapon skill to a minimum of 1. And if you sacrifice anybody, then the caster gains +1 weapon skill, which is actually pretty fucking awesome since it's permanent. So I actually like that spell. That's pretty good because it makes your wizard much more durable in combat because he can actually fucking hit stuff. The number 5 spell is called Marked for Doom. It's a 10+, 18-inch hex direct damage. So the target suffers 1 hit with strength 10 and multiple wounds D3. And if you sacrifice someone, the caster may choose a target or to target a single character joined to a target unit. So you can basically character snipe with this one, which is pretty fucking. You could essentially kill a motherfucker who doesn't have a ward save who's in a unit with this spell, which is fucking pretty goddamn good. Number 6 spell is the Grave Calls. It's 12 up, 12-inch range, hex direct damage, and the target suffers 2d6 strength 5, and if you sacrifice somebody at strength 6, hits. So essentially, it's kind of like the Gateway spell, I think, essentially, but more of a defined strength. But there's that. And then the last one for us is Shamanism, which is actually a really good lore as well. This one has an attribute spell rather than a trait spell or a little, like the sacrifice thing. So Scarification, it's on the caster and the last one turn. So close combat attacks against the target cannot wound on better than a 5-up. So essentially you get Pestilence plus Distracting or whatever on your wizard, which is pretty fucking good, especially since our wizards are stuck in the front lines most of the time. The 0 spell, or signature spell, or whatever you ever call it, is called Awaken the Beast. On a 6-up, let's see, 6-up and then 18 or 8-inch, or excuse me, 6-up with an 8 boosted, both 18 inches. It's an augment that lasts 1 turn. The target gains +1 strength, and then the boosted it also gains +1 toughness. Then we have number 1 spell, which is the Swarm of Insects, which is a 5 to cast at 24 inches or 8 to cast at 48, and it's Hex, Missile, and Damage, and it's basically 5d6 strength 1 hits. Number 2 spell is Savage Fury. 5 up is a 6-inch range, a 9 is an 18-inch range. It can be cast universal, so it's friendly or enemy. Only lasts 1 turn, but the target gains Frenzy. So it's a good thing you can either put on your unit if they're already in combat to boost their damage output, or you can boost it and hit an enemy unit and then chaff them up and make them overrun so you can get a nice little flank charge or something like that. Number 3 spell is called Pounding Drumbeat. It's a 5-up, 18-inch range, and then boosted is a 9-up with a 12-inch aura. So it'll hit everything within 12 inches on your side, friendly-wise. Augment. Let's see. The target forms a 2d6-inch magical move straight forward. It cannot move backwards, sidestep, reform, pivot, blah, blah, blah. You can just move forward. That's all. But it can choose not to move all or to move less than the full distance. When when more than one unit is affected, roll distance and move the unit before rolling distance for. Okay, so essentially, if you boost it and you get multiple units, then you roll for each unit on their distance that they move. Number 4 spell is called Chilling Howl. Casting is a 7-up at 18 inches, a 10 boosted, and it's a 12-inch aura for the boosted version. It's an augment, and it says all 2 wound rolls against the target from shooting attacks suffer a -1 modifier, which is really good for our army, obviously, because we have shit for shooting, and we're slow, so we have to slog up, and this spell actually does really well for us. It's essentially giving us all hard target if you boost it. Number 5, Break the Spirit, is a 9-up at 36 inches and a 12-up boosted at 72-inch hex. The target suffers a -1 modifier to hit and treats all terrain, including open terrain, as dangerous terrain 2. So, that one is actually really good. It says -1 modifier to hit. Does that mean, I'm assuming that means for both shooting and hand-to-hand. It doesn't really say otherwise. It just says a -1 modifier to hit. Maybe that's misprinted or something. I don't know. If it's to both -1 to hit and to freaking in hand-to-hand and for ballistic skill shooting, that's pretty fucking good. And then the dangerous terrain is just a little bonus on there. And then the last spell is called Totemic Summon. It's a 10 up or a 13 up boosted with 96 inches. Fucking huge. But it's just a summon a beast. So you pick a point on the ground within 96 inches and summon a totemic beast with the stat line below. It must be placed within 1 inch or 10 inches of the board edge for boosted. The totemic beast is 3d6 movement, 3 weapon skill, 5 strength, 5 toughness, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attacks, 7 leadership. Then it special rolls. It's the random of 3d6, immune psychology, and then it has a strength 3 breath weapon. So essentially you're pulling a fallen beast with a breath weapon. Which, I mean, I guess is not bad. Gives you a little extra unit in there or whatever. But whatever. Alright, and then the last path we have access to is for the Demon Prince and then the Change Coven, or Conclave, sorry, is the Thaumaturgy. So, Judgment on High is basically the skill we get. So it's when casting spells from this path, all magic dice that result in a 1 must be re-rolled. If a caster miscast when casting a spell for Thaumaturgy, counts as having used 1 additional magic dice for the casting attempt. So, while we get the bonus of having to re-roll any 1s that we roll in order to help us actually cast the spell, if somehow that results in a miscast, then we're going to pay for it dearly. So, you got to be careful with the actual Demon Prince, because it makes him even more scary if you're going to use Thaumaturgy for his casting, because it's basically going to almost guarantee you getting sucked into the fucking warp with him, which again kind of blows balls. But anyways, it does not actually have a 0 spell, or like a sig spell. So starts out with the number 1 spell, Hand of Heaven. 5 up or boosted is 9 up, both 24 inches, hex missile damage, and it's the target suffers d6 or boosted is d6 plus 1 hits with strength d6 plus 1 for boosted, which honestly, like, it's a 5 on a d6, but on a 9 boosted, if I'm fucking going for the boosted version, then I think you should get more than a fucking d6 plus 1. But that's just me. That's one thing I liked about the changed lore, is the amount of fucking randomness to it. It was just, I was like, why fucking like, it was nice to have the plus 1 for the mark, but why the fuck should I take it if it's gonna be so goddamn random? Especially in like this game being for more tournament players, you'd think they want something less random. Anyways, number 2 spell is Cleansing Fire as the breath weapon. It's a 6 up for the caster, focused, or boosted is 11 up, 24 inches, and an augment, which lasts 1 turn, and the target gains breath weapon, strength d3 plus 2. This was one of my favorite things to use for the Change Giant, and I always give fucking a unit of dogs, like one of the dogs, a breath weapon just to wreck some elves, which is always fun. So next one is the number 3 spell, Trial of Faith. And that is a 7 to cast at 12 inches, or boosted version, 11 to cast at 24 inches, which is focused, hexed, direct damage. And this one I think is like the death spell, where both the caster and the target roll a d6. If the caster's roll is higher, the target suffers a number of wounds with AP 6 equal to the difference between their respective rolls. So it's essentially, instead of doing the leadership test one, you just roll a d6, and whatever the difference is, you take a wound, or take that many wounds. Very straightforward, works quite well. Number 4, Speaking in Tongues. An 8 up and 24-inch hex. The last one turn, the target cannot benefit from inspiring presence. I don't know if that warrants an 8 up to cast. I mean, honestly, there's not much that doesn't have, other than like beasts or other shit like trolls that have low leadership, but I mean, I guess whatever. Number 5 spell is Smite the Unbeliever with a 11 up, 24-inch range hex. Last one turn, immediately after successfully casting the spell, roll a d6. If a 4 up is rolled, roll again, and keep rolling until you don't roll a 4. For each 4 rolled, the target suffers -1 toughness to a minimum of 1. Then repeat the same process, rolling 4 up until you fail. For each 4 up rolled, the target suffers -1 strength to a minimum of 1. That one could potentially be fucking gross. Make whoever you're hitting just become a weak little limp-wristed bitch. So I'm all for that one. I mean, that warrants an 11, unless you fucking roll like me, and when you need low, you roll high. But anyways, the 6 up is Wrath of God. Motherfucker. It's 13 up, 96-inch range, point on the ground, permanent. It's basically the new Comet, but it's called Wrath of God, which sounds so much cooler. Choose a point within range on the table and place a counter there. At the end of each subsequent magic phase, roll a d6. If a 1 through 3 is rolled, add another counter on the same spot. If a 4 through 6 is rolled, each unit within 2d6 times x, which is, I'm assuming, the number of counters, suffers 2d6 strength 4 plus x hits, where x is equal to the number of counters. There you go. The spell then ends, remove all counters. So, this one is the common, basically. Same goddamn thing. So yeah, that is all the spells we have. Same shit for our... I don't think there's anything extra I need to talk about for the Sorcerer Lord that I did not already hit. So we will move on next to the Wrath Priest. Alright, so Wrath Priest. 210 points. Point-wise, he went up. But he also got an additional wound, so his wounds are a little better. His initiative and his attacks actually went up as well. So instead of being a weak little bitch sorcerer, he's actually a decent fighter. Let's see. His options that he has. He's got the Mark of... Oh, hey. Interesting. So he's called a Wrath Priest. This is something I didn't actually notice. He's called a Wrath Priest, but he has the Mark of True Chaos. Interesting. Kind of a buff, now that I'm thinking about it. So I totally didn't notice that before. Don't know if I would call him a Wrath Priest still. That might be a working title for his name. But he's Mark of True Chaos. Doesn't have any options to take a mark. So he's still got MR2. He still dispels like a Wizard Master with +2. He can take a single gift, and he can take magic items like a regular hero. So it says 100, but we doubled everything, so he gets 50 points of magic items, essentially. And then he has the ability to take a flail, great weapon. Then his steed points went up, got nerfed by going up. Demonic steed went up. Let's see, chariot went down in points, and the crusher went down in points. So, I mean, it's cool because you now can have a Wrath Priest, which hopefully they'll change the fucking name because it's confusing, in any unit. It doesn't have to be in a True Chaos or Wrath unit, he can actually be in any unit. So that's cool. Next we have the Barbarian Chief. So he also got 3 wounds. His point cost went up, but like I said, 3 wounds gives him the boost there. His Osklander Jarl went up in points cost by a decent amount, actually. And then he actually lost the ability to have a warhorse without taking an upgrade, which I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of think that's bullshit, especially since the Makar Khan upgrade is double what the mount was worth. But I mean, I kind of see what they're going for with that, in that they want him to be kind of like a specialized model. But he does have inspired barbarians, so that includes barbarians and barbarian horsemen in the same unit as the barbarian chief gets fight or gain fight and extra ranks. Let's see. Everything else is pretty much the same. The Osklander Jarl, the only change they have in there is the contains no more than 25 models or whatever. Mahar Khan, point cost, like I said, essentially the same, but it looks like the buff is the fact that he has 3 wounds and the mount's protection is a 5-up now for him, which is nice. Let's see. So the character mounts, the only real changes we have are the disc of change, like I said, counts towards beasts and characters category, which personally still think is fucking retarded. Don't know why. Nobody took the disc of change before, and I guarantee you no one's going to now. Just because it's a shitty, like, it, yeah, it gives you the mobility of an 8 fly model, but then you have cannons and catapults that say go fuck yourself, you're flying, so you get an extra wound. Plus that counts double towards your fucking points value or your percentage value. So yeah, fuck that. Demonic Steed, now it comes automatically with barding, which is nice. I think that's part of the whole streamlining that they were trying to do. The Wasteland Chariot also comes free with barding. Well, not free technically, but it comes with barding automatically to try and streamline the same thing. Manicore. Oh, excuse me. It's gone down in points for most stuff, I think. It has Towering Presence, which essentially just means it's a large target now. It lost. Okay, it didn't lose Lethal Strike. It lost D3 wounds, which kind of blows balls. Especially since it counts towards Beasts and Characters category. Again, kind of sucks balls. Then we have Wasteland Dragon. The only change there is it, again, counts. Which this one's actually different. So this one counts, the mount counts towards Beast category, while its rider counts towards the characters category. Now, I'm not a mathematician in any way, shape, or form, so I'm trying to wrap my head around how exactly that works, where it either both rider and mount count towards beasts and characters, and then with a Manicore, and then where only the mount counts toward beasts. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out later. I'm drinking right now, so I have no fucking clue. So I will go off to the core now. Alright, so our core, 15%. the only thing we have in core are Wasteland Warriors, Barbarians, and Fallen. Yeah, all infantry in core. So at the recommended point value that ETC is running with, we have, hold on, my shit's fucking frozen. There it is. 675 points at 15% for a 4,500 point game. Doesn't seem like a lot, and it's not. But it goes back to the whole like preferred play styles. You have infantry, which obviously we can do with that. Then you have monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, and monstrous beast based. Can't really do that because you have to have infantry. And I mean, yeah, there's some stuff that's like has to be scoring, but we have knights for that. If we want scoring, we have barbarian. Like, I don't know if I can't remember if barbarian fucking. I think they took away. Hold on, give me a second before I fucking speak out my ass. Yeah, no. So we have knights. Monsters infantry wise, we have trolls and not, once chosen and dragon centaurs all now scoring. But barbarian horsemen are no longer scoring. Retarded. I'm gonna save this last one so you can shit yourself later. But our core, 15% of our army has to be infantry, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not horrible. But for our preferred playstyles, we can't go without any infantry. Like there has to be infantry in our list, in any one of our lists, which I don't agree with. I really don't. I honestly think barbarian horsemen need to be back in core, because I know there are many playstyles that did the fast lists of chariots and horsemen, like barbarian horsemen, as their core, and that was it. So, anyways, to get off of that, Wasteland Warriors still pretty much the same as they were before. Let's see. It's pretty much the same. Like points wise, didn't change. They have the scoring is the part that they get in there. Nothing really changed point wise. It's still, you can have max up to 30 models with True Chaos. As soon as you take a mark though, you drop down to 25. And I know that's part of the like RT's like a unit can't be a certain amount of points or whatever. But until they change shit where our armor isn't negated by so much by armor piercing or high strength, our low model count of 25 models, it's not gonna like break us, but it makes it pretty fucking hard for us to get into combat and be like do damage. But on that same token, I'm actually thinking of trying a MSU style core, since we have to have 15% of like warriors, barbarians, or fallen having like because you can only have 2 units of fallen, which again kind of stupid. Don't know why they did that other than their whole plan of non-spamming, but I mean that's one of our chaff units in my opinion. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. Next we have barbarians, 140 points for 20 models. No real change, like really no change at all in what they have. and what their points value was. The Fallen, their points went down, but again, we can only have 2 units of them, up to 12 models. Why, I have no idea. They lost Skirmish, and again, that's because Skirmish went from being, like, the way Skirmish works is they no longer, like, squish together when they get charged, or when they charge. They stay how they are. I haven't read the rules on it, so don't ask. I'm not going to go into it too far, but they still have light troops, so they still have free reforms, all that good shit. But only allowing 2, I don't know, were they really breaking the fucking game? Like, I never actually used them, but I really, like, with this new reorg, I was actually kind of thinking of filling a good chunk of my core with just them. And I guess that might be why they did it. But 0 to 2, come on. That's a little lame. But as you can see, there's no Barbarian Horsemen, there's no Warhounds in core. And I get the Warhounds. I get Warhounds not being in core because they were literally auto take for every fucking army. Like, you had to have at least 3 units of Warhounds to be competitive. And I kind of agree with that. But the Barbarian Horsemen, nobody fucking took them. They were fucking a waste of fucking points most of the time because of the fact that you had hounds or warhounds or whatever. So my thought on that is, instead of removing the Barbarian Horsemen from core, in order to allow the fact like that our playstyles are represented with cavalry as one of them and not just infantry based, we should have the Barbarian Horsemen in core to allow us to have core Barbarian Horsemen that are also scoring, mind you, and allow us to actually have a non-infantry based fucking army, which is, again, like I said, and like the polls fucking requested, to be one of our playstyles. But anyways, I will go on next to special. Alright. Now we move on to our special with no limit, which at first glance looks pretty badass. Especially considering we only have to spend 15% or 675 points into our core. But that all depends, like I said, on your playstyle preference. If you're doing infantry based, this is baller. If you're doing any of the other fucking versions that we the community said they wanted to do with playstyles, core kind of fucks you on that one. But first up, we have our chosen. Let's see, where are you at, chosen? So the chosen points went down, both for base as well as max unit size, and then you can have up to 5 units in the army, which is nice. Gives you the ability to do a decent MSU type style. They're also scoring, so even if you do lust chosen, you still have a scoring unit in them. All their options are the same. Nothing really changed there. Then you have once chosen. Again, same thing. Pretty much everything is changed or stayed the same, but it looks like they actually removed the ability to take a magic weapon, which I don't understand why exactly. You can have max 5 units. The points value stayed the same. Nothing changed there at all. But again, they are scoring. Next are the Wasteland Knights, which points-wise they actually went down, which is good. You can have a max of 4 of them in the army. Other than that, nothing really has changed with them. Again, scoring just like normally. And here is one of the places where I completely disagree with the direction that the RT went, and I would really love to know their thought process on this. Crusher Knights. Everybody hates the fact that they're frenzied. Only reason people that take them is because they're scoring and they're in rare. And our rare section before kind of blew donkey balls. So you either had the fucking EDCs or crushers. Now, crushers are no longer in rare or our beast section essentially, but they're no longer scoring either. So they can still wreck face. Like, don't get me wrong, I played Colonial Carnage, and this is gonna kind of be a spoiler alert for one of my games, but I needed 2 crushers just mulch through an entire fucking flank. And when I say that, you need to watch the actual, when I put out the actual battle report, you will see how awesome they do as a attack unit, but they also were scoring, which is why I took them. If they weren't scoring, I would not have taken them. My last game against my younger brother, which he actually posted on his report or on his page or whatever, again, I brought them because they were scoring, but they didn't really do much. So I foresee, like, for me personally, the Crusher Knights are going on the shelf. So we'll have to see what everybody else does and where the meta goes and all that good shit. But anyways, that's my take on them. So moving on. Alright, so next up we have the Chariots, one of my favorite models within the army. Points-wise, the regular Chariot got a debuff in the fact that it went up in points. It did so because it is now at a 3-up armor save instead of a 4-up. Let's see. The Mauler Chariot itself, the points went down, and it has a 2-up armor save standard, but it's only a 0 to 2 choice. I believe, I want to say 20 points. Yeah, all the marks are the same. Loss was only 20 points in the last one. So, nothing really changed other than armor saves and slight points increase / decrease. Which, personally, I think Warrior Chariots need to be fucking 3-up armor save, toughness 5. They're fucking warriors on a goddamn chariot. When they were being out saved by an out toughness by like orcs and goblins or elves, it was kind of bullshit. But anyways, then we also have our warhounds, which, to be fair, they were auto take. Like, no matter who you were, if you didn't have hounds, I mean, some people took fallen, but if you didn't have hounds, then you were doing something wrong. Points wise, they went down in points. It looks like. No, actually, they actually went up in points because in 1 point. Well, I think this is actually looking at the fact that they did not have an 8 defense 5-up. So previous iterations, or the last iteration of the Warhounds, they were Vanguard and Poison, and you had to pay to get innate defense. Now you get all of that with, or for basically for 5 extra points. So I call that a win-win. So they have innate defense 5 now. On fucking dogs. They have innate defense 5. That's fucking insane. But I'll take it. They're still fucking auto taking my book. Next in special is the Battle Shrine. It is 240 points. Where are you? It went down in cost, but is now in special instead of rare. It has the towering presence, or whatever with it, so it's a large target basically. It's kind of got buffed in the fact that this model grants hard target to all friendly units without towering presence within 6 inches. That means not just infantry. That means you can give it to anything that it is not a large target. So monsters, infantry, cavalry, monster cavalry, and I never played the fucking Battle Shrine before because it kind of blew balls. And it's actually monstrous infantry instead of a chariot now, so it can march with a 5-inch movement, which is kind of a buff. The bound spells it has are Break the Spirit, Shamanism, which is the -1 to hit, which is again another buff to getting shot at essentially. Fate's Judgment, if your mark change. Lust is Spectral Blades from Evocation. Pestilence is Ancestral Aid from Evocation, and then Wrath. Models grant MR2 to all friendly models within 6 inches where more than half of their models have the mark of True Chaos or mark of Wrath. And to be honest, I actually made a list today with this in it, just because it's kind of actually worth it now, because it gives me hard target to everything within 6 inches, and 6 inches ain't that much for a 50 by 100 mil base. But you have 2 main combat blocks, and you plop that bad boy down behind them, and just march everybody forward. And it has a 4-up fucking 4-up, so it's not going to be hurt too much by anything that shoots at it. So it's actually, in my opinion, it's actually worth taking now. Let's see. Sorry, I had to finish my drink. Next we have the Barbarian Horseman. Let's see. Points-wise, they go up. Mounts of Protection is now standard. So they always have a 4-up. They're not scoring. Personally, I think they need to be moved to core. But I think that kind of fucks up the whole Hell Rider thing. So basically, their mark of True Chaos, Fast Cav, you can make them change Lust, Pestilence, and Wrath, or Wrath rather. But then this is another one of those things where they actually like merge the unit entries, which I agree with to a certain extent. But it should be one of those things where it's like Barbarian Horsemen are in core, and then if they get the Hell Rider upgrade, they get moved to special, and then they count as special or something like that. Because again, our preferred playstyles, infantry is only one of them, but we also have non-infantry like playstyles that people want to play, and the only way to do that without breaking the bank is Barbarian Horsemen. So anyways, to get off that topic, in order to get Barbarian Horsemen that are, or to get Hell Riders or whatever, you have to pay 150 points for 5 models. Then you upgrade the Mark of Lust for 4 points per model. And then to become Hell Riders, you need to pay an additional 4 points. And I could be wrong in this, but the way I'm looking at it, that's how it works. Is in order to, like, you have to have Mark of Lust. So because in parentheses right there it says Mark of Lust only. So I'm assuming in order to become Hell Riders, you have to first mark yourself Lust, and then pay to become Hell Riders. And then after you become Hell Riders, you have the access to Hellish Whip, Light Lance, which I guess you get Light Lance for the 4 points, and the Steed of Lust. And nothing has really changed in regards to the Hellish Whip. So let's see. Next we have Wasteland Trolls. Sorry, it's fucking late as shit right now. So Wasteland Trolls are 240 points, and that is actually a nerf on the fact that points-wise they went up. They can no longer be scoring, but they also have paired weapons standard. They don't have to actually pay for them, which, I mean, they already pay for them now because their fucking price went up. Anyways, the big thing is they're scoring now, which a lot of people ask for, but personally I'd rather have them continue to be fucking trolls that don't have a banner or that don't have the ability to be scoring, and give scoring back to my crushers, because I actually would prefer to play crushers over trolls. But that's just me. Then next thing, they did add the Dragon Centaurs as scoring units, which I think you could do before. They had the ability to have, yeah, because they had standard, the standard bearer before. Now they can't even take standard bearers, but they do have Mark of True Chaos, which I don't believe they actually had before. But I haven't looked at the previous book and never used them either, so scoring stay the same. You can have up to 4 units to them. Last thing in special is the Fallen Beast. Literally nothing has changed, other than the fact that I think you can have max 2. So, yay! Alright, so on to our beasts at max 35%. So we got Hell Cannon, or Hell Scream Cannon. Points wise, it went up fairly annoyingly. Everybody knows, well, not everybody knows, but the template design is gone, essentially. So artillery is done quite differently. Bear with me for 1 second. There we go. Alright, so essentially for a catapult, so catapult attacks ignore to hit everything. First off, everything is off of ballistic skill now. Alright, so we have a ballistic skill of 3 for the Hell Cannon. Nice. So catapult attacks ignore to hit penalties from soft cover and hard cover. So resolve catapult attacks as the following: when a natural hit run is misfire, blah blah blah. On a successful hit roll, the attack gains area attack X. Resolve the attack with strength written in the catapult's description. So we have essentially strength 4 for our as a catapult. Let's see. So we have 2 different catapults. We have catapult with strength 4 artillery weapon with move or fire, and then it's a range 12 to 60, strength 4, and then 7 strength in the center, it looks like. Let's see. So On any other hit, result, blah, blah, blah. What the? I'm so confused. The fuck? Alright, so I'm like missing something here. Area attack. A hit. Yeah, I'm so lost on the fuck catapult rules. I'll have to like look into this crap because it's very confusing to me. But then again, nobody's gonna use the fucking hell cannons. Who gives a shit, right? Right. All right. So next thing is the Chimera. Points wise, went down, and obviously survival of the fittest was removed. It automatically gets the breath weapon. So it actually kind of got buffed. It still sucks balls because it's initiative 3, tough 5, 4 wounds, and only a regen 5 with an 8 defense 4. So it's still gonna get blown the fuck off. And it's only max 3 unit wise. Elder Dragon Centaur, point wise, stayed exactly the same, and essentially just made it so that you have to have everything. Like, he has to be kitted out. But you can have up to 3 in the army. Let's see. Oh, God damn it. Points wise, that means 540 times 3. Yeah, so you could technically have 3 in a fucking army of a 4,500. Oh, wait. Hold on. 40. No, you can't have 3. So total points value, we can have 1575 in a 4,500 point game. So we can only have 2 Dragon Centaurs in the quote-unquote standard tournament size that I'm assuming ETC is going to go with, but whatever. Next we have the Vortex Fiend at 340 points. Point-wise, it only went down like 5 points. Other than that, it's pretty much the fucking same. Blood Beast, again, same thing. Point-wise, went down by 5 points. It's whatever. Giant, 280 points. Again, same point value. All the bonuses went the same. So, or not bonuses, but all the like the mark change or all the marks are the same, and then the champion for change is doubled like normal. I think you can have actually 3 in a fucking 4,500 point army. Plus 60, plus 180, times 3. Yeah. 360, right? Yeah. So you can have 3 change giants in a 4,500 point army, but that is literally 15 points above, like below your max amount for points in your beasts section. But hey, don't get me wrong. 3 change giants running around is pretty fucking cool. So, going over this entire book, like, the big things for me is still the fact that our core is all infantry. Like, I love where they're going with this organizational chart where every army book has a like their own specific like groups. I love it. I cannot say it enough. I love the fact that we can do that, or that they're doing that rather. What I don't like is how they ended up doing it. From what I understand on internal side, and hopefully I'm not like breaking any rules here, but internally, internally we had the 1.2 book was all done by the rules team. I don't believe they actually pinged any of the old ABCs because the rules team essentially was made up of people from the like with their whole everything's been done like with their whole reorg in the same time frame. So the rules team, I don't think actually pinged anybody from the previous Army books, which in my mind is a mistake because the previous Army book guys knew what the they made the fucking book, so they knew what the fuck was going on. And I think it was a mistake to only have the RT being the ones doing it. And again, I could be wrong. They could have had input from the ABCs, but I know with Warriors of Dark Gods, our ABCs had zero input into the actual books. Like, I know because I talked to the guys that were part of it, and they had zero input into it. So, in regards to that, it kind of sucks, but they were very rushed, so I understand that. I'm not going to fucking hold that against them. This is essentially a beta of the game. So I'm not going to fucking, like, get all pissy about that shit. It's whatever. In regard, like, I just did some math, if you heard the clicking just now. You could actually have 2 units of Fallen, base Fallen. 5 models are 160 points. You can add an additional 7 models at 28 points. And I'm going to do this again so I can make sure my fucking math is right. And that gives you 356 points for naked, like no marks or no champion or whatever, Fallen. 356 points for 12 models. Multiply that by 2. That's 712 points. I don't feel like doing the math for getting it closer to 675, but essentially you could fill your entire core with Fallen and use them as chaff, but they have to be 2 units. That's the thing that is stupid to me, is you can't split them up like you can with Warhounds or whatever. So you have 2 units of chaff that are gonna fucking dick stomp pretty much anything they go into. And then the rest of the stuff you can put monstrous infantry, monster cav, or cavalry, or monstrous beast, or whatever, and make a bigger unit, or a bigger, or an army based on a different play style other than infantry. And instead of having hounds, you have 2 units of Fallen. And honestly, I'd probably have at least one other unit of hounds in there as well. I actually made a list that I don't know whether it would do well at all, personally. But essentially, it was, let's see. I had a Changecaster, which had the Wizard Master upgrade and had 4 spells. Mark of Change, Third Eye. Talisman of Greater Shielding, so he had a 1-up, 4-up. He's on a steed, or a Wasteland steed rather, and had the Lucky Shield. Let's see. And I may have fucked this up, but he has a 2-up normally. Mark of Change gives him a +1 for his casting. And I gave him the Book of Arcane Power, which I may or may not be able to do. Just because of like the casting bonuses, I think can only go up to 3. Maybe? I could be wrong. I don't know. Let's see, let's do casting. Could have sworn I read somewhere that it was like you can only go up to like +3 for casting or some shit like that. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I just said that. For 1.2, I'm gonna ask the entire community because I'm not just the community. I'm not just a content provider. I'm also, like I said, like the ACS. I have to deal with you guys bitching about stuff and just like jumping on the fucking like like the bitch train about everything. And I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask you to, before you start fucking just raging about all these changes, go into it with an open mind. Start making lists. Hopefully the guy like Ed Steiner, I think is what his name is for this that does the army builder stuff, will have everything worked out with army builder so it makes it easier for everybody. Makes it easier for everybody to actually like make army lists and just start making army lists. Start making them, start playing with them. Start figuring shit out, essentially. Like, don't just fucking look at everything in a vacuum and bitch. Because while, like I said, Warriors of the Dark Gods, like, oh shit, I'm trying to look at this fucking thing that Dracardic fucking put out. But the Warriors of Dark Gods army book, if you look at all the changes that were made, and I will probably put this like screenshot out just because I want to make sure that you guys understand how much like good stuff we got compared to the Nerf bat, so that you won't, hopefully will not bitch so much. But I'm going to put this in there, and I need you guys to just do me a favor, do all of us a favor, and play games. 1.2 is not the end of this fucking like journey. Play games, play test it. Like, this is what 1.2 is out for. Is for you guys to play test. Everybody bitches about this not being like community driven and how the staff doesn't listen to anybody. We're listening. We want you to play test. Just do it. Nike, whatever the fuck you want to say. Play test this, like this list, this army book. Play test these rules. Give feedback, and preferably in the form of actual battle reports from the playtesting form or in the playtesting forums. But if you can't do that, at least take notes when you play these games and give pro cons to everything. Hopefully the like powers that be will actually listen to the community like they did with our the polls, and we can go ahead and continue to make a good game. Because honestly, like, everybody complains. I've seen so many like things on the forums about how this game is not like, everybody wants it to be Warhammer Fantasy. It's not Warhammer Fantasy. It's the Ninth Age. Yeah, the rules are very similar, but it's a new fluff. It's a new game essentially, and you need to actually like just work, or not work, but play the game. Like, that's like has been my mantra for like the ever since I've become an army support or army community support, whatever, is just play the game. Try it out. Don't just fucking snap judgment and bitch about stuff. You do that, and all it does is have new players come in, look at the game, and go, "Oh, fuck this," because this guy said that this game is unplayable, or this game is stupid, or whatever, because of this rule. Instead of doing that, give constructive criticism. Don't just fucking bitch to bitch. Like, actually sit there and go, "Oh, hey, Crushers are not scoring. They should be scoring because of this. Because without scoring, their job is taken over by the Knights. Whereas if you gave them scoring, you could have small units to run around and do stuff. Whereas the Knights take over any and all ability for them to do anything. Or, like I said before, we have 15% core, but the entire core is just filled with fucking infantry. It's like, I honestly think that Barbarian Horsemen should be in core and scoring, just like they were before. And that should be the big and only change to our core or our core group or whatever. Will it get implemented? I have no idea. But like I said, just play the game. Just give us feedback. That's all we're looking for. And if you can, try and not be a dick about it. I know there's things that are just like, holy shit, they changed this. Fucking, I want to, like, bash their head in. Don't do it. Just take a breath, think about it, write it up, reread it, and then post it. Because I don't have to fucking come into the forums on, like, Sunday or Monday morning and tell you, calm the fuck down. We all know it's going to happen. But please, calm your tits.